Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to number 6 of my weird random video tutorial things. People say they're helping. I don't think I believe you. This month, by request, I'm going to be looking at my live setup. I've been using this setup for a couple of years, though I am doing a complete rehaul at the moment. So at some point I'll show you that, I guess. But it's a pretty nifty setup, and it does what I wanted it to do. And it's pretty light as well. So this is actually the second time I've recorded this, which is really frustrating. The first time, I don't know, one of the things didn't record. So let's hope that it is all working this time. Okay, so my live setup is little sound card, laptop, 2 tablets. The 2 tablets talk wirelessly to my laptop, and I have them set up via this little tool, which is like a virtual MIDI connection. And if I do something on this, yeah, you can see all the numbers changing on the screen. If we do something on this one, yeah, and changing as well. So that's basically saying there's data coming in and out, which means that I know that the laptop is talking to these, and it's doing that via a network that I've set up, that I've started on the computer. So I have a little shortcut going here, start BitTripper network. So I do that when I open my computer at the beginning when I'm setting up. Then I join these onto the network, and then I test that they're connected by seeing that the information comes up on this little thing here. And then I go into live, open up my set, and I check as well with these indicators here in the top right that there's MIDI coming in. So yeah, for that one I've got something, and for this one I have something too. So that means that these are ready to go, live set's ready to go. So the 2 tablets do 2 different things. Although maybe I'll show you the actual set and how that's set up first. So when I open it, before I set up a set, I'm faced with this. So this is basically every song that I have prepared for a live set, and they're all organised into stems. Some of them have lots of stems, some of them have a couple of stems. You see, this one's got a whole ton. God knows why. And they are all warped. So when I dropped them into the set, when I was creating this template, I'd set the tempo to the tempo of the song, bring it in, and then hit warp. They're all warped slightly different modes, I think. So the drums and the rhythm will be in beats mode. Let's verify that. I lie, at least for this track anyway. They are all on complex mode, as you can see down here. Anyway, the important thing is that they are warped, which means that whatever tempo is here, this will go to that tempo. That means I can do things like fade outs and fade ins and crossfading between tracks, and everything will be in time, which is, super useful. So to start making a set, I would grab a song, highlight it, Control-C, copy it, and move it over to the position I want it in that set. So for this one, I think this was my sci-fi set from last year. I started off with this track called The Womp, which to be honest, until I opened this set, I completely forgot I even made this track. So yeah, this has only got 3 stems, so it's really simple to set up. So let's just see what I've got going on. Okay, yeah, so I got my rhythm, got my melody, and my kind of offbeats, kind of rhythmic, melodic parts. So on this tablet, I have a tab for every single song that corresponds to all the different songs I've got in here. So if I was going to play in this song when I was playing live, I'd find the WOMP and I'd see what controls I've got and what I've set up to work with this track. So what I have got is a low pass filter, which will be probably going on the main rhythm. So have a check. Ah, interesting. The Wi-Fi has dropped out. That's super useful. Kind of weird as well, because that virtually never happens when I'm actually playing out. So I wonder what's going on. Okay, sorry about that. That's a bit of weird troubleshooting. One of the good things about the setup is, although it pretty much never failed me, it's only failed me once, and it's the first time I used it. It's quite easy to troubleshoot different things to do with the Wi-Fi whilst letting the set just play on. I don't need to stop the audio or anything like that, which is kind of handy, I guess. So where were we? I was trying to work out what this low pass filter is doing, and I think that it's working on this. Yeah, there we go. So that's like a super simple thing that I've got set up specifically for this track. I then have this like XY glitch effect, which is something I have on most of the tracks because it's a really cool little sound. They're all slightly different variations of the effect I have on the different tracks that correspond to, I don't know, that have parameters that are set specifically for that track. Because some of them want it to be a harsher effect, some of them want it to be a bit gentler. So let's have a quick listen to what it does. So that's pretty cool. On this one it's fairly subtle. And then I have two delays. One's like a pitched delay, and one's like a whiteout freeze wash delay. So let's see what they do. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I made it completely clear, but in case you haven't realised, these are MIDI controllers, and they're controlling things in Ableton. So these aren't actually doing anything powerful or processing any audio at all. They're just two MIDI controllers. So let's have a quick look at this XY beat repeat, how I made it. It's kind of fun. Well, within a limited definition of fun, I guess. Okay, so there's three controls that this thing on the iPad has. It has X, Y, and touch, which is I've used like an on-off. So I've got the left-right. I can't remember which one's X and Y. Whatever. Left-right is affecting the glitch amount, which is a beat repeat. So it's going from 16th notes up to 64th notes. And I have the up and down doing a filter, which would be a band pass filter, I guess. Yep, there we go, it's doing a simple band pass, and the touch is basically turning the effect on and off. And the way that I do that, because I don't want it to be 100% wet when I kind of kick it into action, because that would just be too intense, and it would, I don't know, maybe for like glitch music or something, it would, you know, have the desired effect and be quite kind of in your face. But for this kind of music, it's a little bit more ambient, a little bit gentler. So I want that to kind of have very slight fade in, fade out, bit of a tail on it, and don't want it to be too extreme. So the way that I've done that is with a gate. So when it's playing and this is not activated, you can see that this channel here, which is the glitch effect channel, has nothing going through it because it's got a gate on it with the threshold all the way up, which means that only a signal all the way up here would trigger it, which clearly it's not because I don't run anything that hot. When I touch this though, what I've got that mapped to is the threshold. It'll bring the threshold all the way down, thus letting the glitch happen. And this one I haven't got much of a tail on, but sometimes I'll have the release on a bit of a tail like this, so that when I release it, it kind of has a little bit of a tail on it. So at the same time, on the clean channel, I have a ducking compressor, which uses the signal from after this gate on the glitch effect into the ducking compressor to bring down the clean signal. So let's just see that in action. So I hope that makes sense. Any questions, definitely just let me know. Yeah, that's pretty much that effect, and I have that in various forms throughout all my different tracks, to be honest, because it's a really fun little thing to do. Delays, there's not a lot to it. It's all variations of using this touch to be on and off, and then the MIDI controls. So with this one, this is the pitch delay. The delay is a super simple delay. I've got it linked, so the left and right are doing the same thing. It's not synced because I want it to be a finer control than that, and it will be on repitch mode so that it gets that pitching effect. And again, I'm using the touch part of the MIDI signal from the tablet to turn it on and off, again via a gate in exactly the same way. And this time you see I've got a bit more of a tail going on. Okay, so I'm just using this gate as a little bit of a volume control. I'm not really sure why I've used a gate exactly in this instance, because all that I'm doing is basically bringing it down by 3 dB when I touch it. Whatever, that's how I did it. And finally we have a washout, which just has one control, which controls the feedback, the dry wet, and this auto filter. So it comes up as a high pass all the way, and as it's doing that, simultaneously bringing the feedback all the way up and the dry wet most of the way up. So it kind of accumulates in this washout effect. So as the filter comes higher, we get more and more feedback, more and more dry wet. So let's just have a quick. So that's kind of what I've got going on for that track. I think this one's got the same XY beat repeat yet. So when I'm doing this on this tablet, it's the same effect as on that other track with the melodic stuff on it. Let's look to see if we've got a slightly different track, maybe with something else going on. Something a bit more interesting, maybe. Okay, yeah, there's a couple of things on here. This is the Temple of the Pollinator. Oh yeah, I should also say that these stems, I've semi-mastered them. So basically, when I've got the original project open, ready to export the stems, I have a rough master chain on the master, and then I export the individual stems going through that chain. Obviously it doesn't have exactly the same effect as if you had all of the audio going through the chain at the same time. So then I also have a compressor on the master. That's not a compressor. Also have a limiter on the master here as well, giving it a little bit of a boost. Yeah. So what we're doing with this track. So I would go onto my tabs, I would find Temple of the Pollinator, and see I've got a new page going on, different things. So I've got this lead filter, which is automating this, which is audio. Something else I have this clear button, which is, all these controls are on every tab. They kind of sit in front of the whole thing. And that basically, if I stray off of automation for whatever reason, this will bring everything back in. So everything fucks up, or I can't hear properly because of bad monitoring or something like that, then this will make sure that everything's back in line and there's nothing weird going on. Yeah. I also have these symbols, which I haven't shown you yet, just to add a little hit of accentuation every and then, just have some crashes. Yeah, super simple. So again, I have the glitch XY thing. Assume that's on the... Honestly, it's been a while since I played this track. I can't actually remember what these things do. It's kind of ridiculous. Again, I have the pitch delay and I have the liquid delay. And also have something else on this tablet. So this might be a good time to go over and see what this tablet does. Let's show you the thing for Temple first. This is the only other page on this tablet apart from this one. Because I have a little part in here where I play some samples. So you probably got the idea. This is feedback. Like here is like a safe but relatively fed back level. Here is my time synced delay time, and here are my 8 samples. So if I hit play, I think I'm in the right place. So that was a pretty bad example, pretty badly played, but that's the kind of thing that I do at that section, which is apart from the original song, which is kind of fun. It's just something more to do with the fingers, a little bit more interaction. But normally I'm on this page here, which is a kind of synth setup that I made myself, and this is all using various operators. So I have 6 sounds. I have an XY control for each of the sounds. I have a mute, which goes for all of the sounds. I have each of these things that just touching it activates that synth, and the slider activates or changes the output level as well. It doesn't quite go from silent because I rarely want it to go down to silence, and it would be kind of annoying if I accidentally slipped and there was nothing going on. So I'll show you the sounds quickly. Yeah. So they're kind of the things that I have a lot of fun with whilst I'm playing. Really simple. But it's quite a fun little toy to play with. It's kind of like my homemade chaos pad. So I discovered last time I recorded this about half an hour ago that I couldn't quite work out how I'd set this up, but I'll do my best to try and work it out. So when I touch here, I have the touch, not the X and the Y, but the actual touch set up so that it is sending a note, and it's the same note for each of the different synths. But because I don't want them all to be playing the note, before the MIDI gets into the synth here, I have this, it's almost like a MIDI gate. It's not a MIDI gate, but I'm using it to act like one. So if I send the note, this one is not getting anything through. You can see it's got a MIDI note, but it's not pushing it onto the synth until I touch one of these here. So this touch corresponds to letting these notes through. So at the moment it's saying the only MIDI note it's going to let through, the lowest MIDI note it's going to let through is G8, which is the highest note. So obviously this note isn't going to come through. When I touch this kind of level on off, that's automated so that that MIDI note is now C-2, which is the lowest MIDI note, meaning that all MIDI can now come through. And they're all set up in the same way, except which is which. Yeah, this is obviously this is mapped only to this one. This is mapped only to this one, etc. I think that makes sense. I hope it makes sense to you. The point is that I don't want all these operators having sound going through them at the same time. It would be a completely pointless waste of CPU. So yeah, other than that, it's pretty simple. I have an XY control for each of the different synths doing various things. I don't think I need to go through all the sounds particularly, because they're all quite simple things that I reckon you could all get to with a little bit of work. I mean, this one is literally, got a sawtooth, downward sawtooth LFO onto a square wave, and it's affecting the pitch, and then I have a bandpass filter. And I have the rate of the LFO mapped. So up, down is the rate, left, right is the filter. So that's how that works. It's a really fun little thing to work with, and I'll definitely use it on my new setup because it's so simple. And I have some delays and some reverbs. These things will have sidechain compression going on, so that when this sound is being generated, these are the actual delay is ducking, because I don't want it to get completely muddied by the delay and the reverb. But once the original sound source stops, the delay and the reverb will then come back up to kind of add that nice tail, make it so it's not too stark. What else? So the thing that I'm using on these iPads is called Lima. It's like 18 quid, I think, which is pretty expensive for an app, but for what it does, I think it's a fucking bargain. It's brilliant. So I've designed all of these myself, all these layouts, and it's really simple to do. In fact, I'll get the editor up now so you can see what it's like. So see if I connect one of these. Right, so now I've got this editor synced to this iPad. I'll press E to make it like a click. So then you can drag and drop in these various things, which you then assigned to do other things. So say I've just dropped in this, which is a fader, and then I got here, I have my different controls of that fader. So it looks kind of complicated at the moment, but fundamentally, once you kind of understand what it's doing, it's quite simple. It gets complicated in the amount of MIDI mappings there are. I'll show you in a minute how many MIDI mappings I've got in my project. It's stupid. So I can say X is going channel 1, it's a control change message, or I can have a note message or a pitch bend or anything like that, and it's 32 to 32, so that means that's going to send MIDI CC 32 on channel 1, and I have unlimited extra channels, or virtually unlimited, and that's the touch, the X. So that means that when I touch it, it's sending 32, then I go into Ableton and I map 32 to the thing that I want. I hope that makes sense. So it's really easy to do, just very time consuming. So let's have a quick look at all the MIDI mappings in my live setup. So yeah, there you go, like this. Each of these things is a button on one of these iPads, or a thing on one of these iPads, being mapped to something in the set. And for how simple the setup is, this is kind of ridiculous, huh? Fuck. Fuck. Okay, and I'm about to kind of recreate this whole thing in a new setup. Oh man, I've not left myself enough time. I need to get on it. Yeah, and then on the master bus, like I showed you, I've got a simple EQ, and I can kind of adjust that. I've got, on this iPad, I have this, which is mapped to the limiter, just to give it a little bit of extra gain, a little bit of extra push. Say if I'm playing in a chill out room that's next to a main room, sometimes you'll get some pretty heavy bleeds. So if you've got like a quiet intro or outro or something like that, sometimes you just need to bring that up so it doesn't get drowned out by the fucking thumping beats from next door. I think that's more or less it. If anyone wants, obviously if anyone has any questions, ask away, and I'll do my best to shed some more light. If anyone wants to try and set up their own tablets, you can do it with an Android tablet as well, which I had originally, but I've actually found that the touch responsiveness of the iPad is marginally but significantly faster. It makes quite a big difference when you're doing things like, when you're doing anything controlling the MIDI like this. So if everyone wants any help setting up their own lemur Ableton interactive thing, let me know. I'll be happy to see if I can help you with that. So I hope that was useful. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much, as always, for all of your help and contributions. If there's anything more I can do, or any questions you have, anything like that, ask away. If you haven't joined the Facebook group of globs thing, do that. Come and say hi, because it's there so that we can all talk to each other, ask questions, help out and stuff. Cheers.